Howdy all. I'm really glad to be here. I actually grew up in a family where both my parents were PhDs in anthropology, so I feel like somehow I'm coming full circle today, and I'm happy to be here. So I do want to say, any questions you have, I really like questions. You know, if you just feel ready to ask me something, please feel free to interrupt, and we'll see where that takes us. So my understanding is you're looking for some history of how I got started in frame building and what life is like being a mountain bike builder on the East Coast, which is kind of different comparison, I guess, for mostly the bikes that come from Marin and the West Coast and all. I got my start, actually I can back up to back in, when was that? It must have been '73. I got a job welding submarines in Connecticut. I was I think 19 years old, and I got a job working for the state, learning how to weld, and then actually welding on submarines, which was a unique experience, which we won't get into the details of today, but I did that for about 4 months, and I left that job because I got offered a job working at Wickham USA, which was a small frame building shop that got its start with Peter Weigel and Richard Sachs, frame builders that are still in business. It's a long time to be building bikes, longer than I've been at it. And so I was the fourth employee in the shop there, and learned the basic skills of frame building. And at that time, being a young man, I used to go up and visit friends in Boston and felt like, wow, life was really exciting up there, and things that were going on. Am I talking loud enough for everybody? Things that were going on in East Haddam, Connecticut, which was, you know, a small little parts of a town, wasn't really doing it for me, and the business I was working for didn't feel like it was going anywhere, and I was going to have a more happening life, so I moved to Boston, left my job, and got a job with a frame builder there, and a few months later, I heard that Wickham USA had gone out of business, and they were selling their equipment. And I just was struck that, wow, this is really an amazing opportunity to get frame building equipment cheap. They said they'd sell it to me at a good deal because I used to work there. And I just got on this mission of, okay, I gotta get down there and buy this equipment. And I had no idea what I was going to do with it. I just knew that I had to have it. And so I was just following my gut feel with it. And in working for this frame builder in Boston, when I got back with the equipment, I put it in my garage or basement, I guess, and I was telling people about it where I worked, and they said, geez, you know, if you go into business, I'll buy a frame from you. So I had 3 people that said that before I even really thought I was going into business. I had orders lined up, and my reputation was enough that people were ready to put some money down the barrel to buy a bike from me. So that was a fortuitous start. I worked in a basement shop right next to MIT, between MIT and Harvard for the first I think 4 years of my business, and I always felt like some of that rubbed off, you know. There was a lot of smart people around there, and I would bump into them, and I would get exposed to things that I think I wouldn't have otherwise. There was actually a frame building course going on at MIT at that time, and another aspect of that business that helped me a lot was doing frame repairs on other bikes. I would get frames in and kind of look at them in the inside. You know, they'd be in an accident, I'd have to pull them apart, and I'd get to see how they're made on the inside and understand how different companies approach quality. And some bikes were really well made, and other bikes cut corners. There was a bike I repaired once that was in an accident, and had to pull the back of the seat tube. These are frames that were all loved, by the way. This is a long time ago. They were loved or loveless. Very few other materials besides steel were being used, but I pulled this joint apart, and it was cut with a hacksaw. Usually, when you're fitting up a frame, the tubes fit together very closely. You're optimizing the amount of material you have there to make for a very strong joint, and hopefully, through time, you learn how to make things lighter. And I think that's something that's happened a lot in the bike business since then. I was just really impressed that a bike could get away with that. But you know, this kind of very rough V-notch at an angle that the tube that it was meeting up to wasn't fitting, and it was a high brand name bike. It was, I guess I don't want to say the model, what brand it was. It was like, whoa, okay, that's pretty interesting. I got away with that one. So it was an accident.
Or any hints of what the model is
I can say now the company is out of business. So.
I'll turn off the camera if you want.
I'd rather not say, just because it's, you know, I mean, the point is that bikes are made that way and people are getting away with things. And I was at the other end of the spectrum. My passion was to, how good can I make this bike? What can I do to optimize every aspect, every facet of the bike to make it just as good as possible? I felt like I'd done a lot in road bikes and was actually looking for something new to get started on, and that's when mountain bikes came along. And I went out for a ride with a mountain bike, and I got very turned on about just what it was about. I just was really thrilled with just how much fun it was to just go anywhere and romp through the woods, and we had some great riding just north of Boston. And fun people were into it. It was very exploratory and new, and just the newness of it was like opening up a whole different world. And people were just very excited to get on a bike and explore. In the early days of mountain biking, there were bikes that didn't work and bikes that did work, and people really appreciated bikes that work. And like I was saying, it's a time for exploring and trying things out and seeing what you can do. And bikes that were well made and durable really were appreciated by people that were using them.
Chris, one of the things is your short chain stays allowed Fat Chances to outclimb anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Back early days.
yeah, yeah. And they had a reputation for just being bomb-proof. That was the term back in those days.
What's the current state of the brand right now after you left the company?
Right, so
The bikes?
I actually left the company and my ex-wife ran it for a couple of years. And I supported her in that. And then it folded at the end of the 90s. And so it's just been sitting there. And there's an owners group that's still really active. If you go to fatcogs.com, there's a lot of activity on that. It really impresses me. I mean, for me, I think of it how I saw it, which was from the center, which isn't from the outside looking in. But I was just a guy that was doing what I love to do and threw a lot of passion into it, and get really blown away at how many people are still moved by it and pay attention to it.
So you currently own the name Fat Chance?
Fat City Cycles.
Fat City
Yeah,
Cycles.
Fat City Cycles and Fat Chance would be part of that. I think it was '84. I went to the Crested Butte Fat Tire Week out there, which was really a gas. That was a lot of fun. We, about 6 of us went out there and had a great time riding and hanging out with people, getting to know more West Coasters. I went to a gathering of different frame builders there, and Richie was there, Richard Cunningham, Charlie Cunningham, Gary Fisher, Joe Breeze, you know, all these big names from the early years were there. It's really quite a gathering. And several people got up and spoke, and I remember Tom Ritchie saying he wanted more data about this and about that. And at one point I just got kind of fired up and I said, you know, if you guys want more performance out of these bikes, you got to shorten the chain stays, because they're going to get around corners quicker, they're going to climb hills better, they're going to feel more nimble, and people are going to like that. And there's this kind of silence and people kind of nodding their heads, and Richard Cunningham went, yeah, that's right. and part of me wanted to kind of keep going with what I knew about geometry, but I didn't want to kind of give it all away either. You know, it's like I worked hard to learn all that. So I left it with the chain stays.
Hey Chris, why don't you talk about how you got from late '82, early '83, and the evolution through these bikes, you know, and why you,
Okay.
the development and evolution of it.
Yeah.